Welcome to class 6 of secretarial practice, and in this class we are going to learn about the liabilities of company secretary. So far we have studied the secretarial duties, secretarial rights, and now we are going to study the liabilities of the secretary. So when when the liability of company secretary arises. So as we know, the liability of company secretary arises so when we are not going to fulfill our duties. Okay, when we fail to perform our duties, so it is our liability, right? Or when we are going to misuse the rights given, so we are liable. So in this class we are going to study two different liabilities of company secretary. And the liabilities of company secretary, as we know, it is been classified or divided into two types. One is statutory liability and contractual liability. And each duties we are going to study one by one. The first is statutory liability. So first understand what is statutory, right? What is the meaning of statutory? As we know, statutory means compulsory. So statutory is compulsory. So those duties which are compulsory, we call it as statutory liability. So statutory things are there. Statutory meeting we say, statutory report we say, so which are very compulsory. So here statutory duties or statutory liabilities. So statutory liability of the secretary is, first is register all files and documents of the company. Okay, so at the beginning of the formation of company itself, the promoter is going to prepare some documents like a register of directors or a register of members, or we can say the memorandum of association or the articles of association. So all these things they are going to file it with whom? File it with the registrar. So secretary should see that all the files and documents are registered and it is filed it with the company registrar. The next is arrange a statutory meeting. So what is this statutory meeting? As I said, statutory means mandatory, right? Statutory meeting means a meeting which is compulsory. So the meeting which is compulsory, we call it as statutory meeting. And this meeting should be held by the company. So when they are going to hold it, so this meeting they are going to hold it at the time or just after the registration of or the formation of company. So what they do, they are going to conduct the meeting. So as we know, it is a meeting of shareholders of the company. So we go through various stages. We go to the public subscription. We are going to have the capital. So capital invested by the shareholders. Okay, so investors we say, and that shareholders wants to know regarding the matters relating to the company's beginning. Okay, company's beginning. So why the statutory meeting is conducted? So the main objective of statutory meeting is to make the members familiar. So familiar with what? Familiar with the matters relating to the promotion and formation of company. So how the company is formed, so for what object it was formed. So within 6 months, okay, after 1 month and within 6 months of starting or getting your company formed, so you are going to conduct what? You are going to conduct the statutory meeting. The shareholders receive the particulars related to shares taken up, so money received, contracts entered into, what are the preliminary expenses incurred. So all these things we are going to study in this statutory meeting. The next question is, why the, or is it necessary to hold the statutory meeting? So according to your Companies Act 1956, section 165 says that it is mandatory or it is compulsory, so that it is a mandatory general meeting of the members of the company, so which is required to be held within a certain prescribed period. So I said prescribed period. Prescribed period means after 1 month and within 6 months you have to hold this meeting. And along with that you have to prepare the statutory report. So what is this statutory report? So statutory report is a mandatory report. As we know, statutory means mandatory. So this report is a mandatory report. So this report should be submitted. So mandatory submission of financial and non-financial information to the particular or with the registrar of the company, we call it as statutory report. Okay, so what it says? It says it is or it includes the financial as well as non-financial information which is necessary to be submitted to the registrar of the company within the due date. Okay, the next is arrange the annual general meeting. So arrange the annual general meeting. So before going to the annual general meeting, so what is annual general meeting? So annual general meeting is a meeting which is conducted annually, and in that meeting we are going to discuss something about the achievements or the progress done by the company in the previous year. So does it has any consequences or a penalty for the default of holding an AGM? So if we say this, if the company further default in holding the meeting in accordance with the directions, the company and every officer of the company, so who are the default, shall be punishable with a fine of rupees up to rupees 1 lakh. Okay, so every company must have the annual general meeting. So when we say annual general meeting, it is a compulsory meeting which should be held annually. So which should be held annually. Then, so a public company within the 6 month beginning with the following of its accounting reference date, so they should hold the general meeting. And the private company which is traded company, we can say traded company, in each period of 9 months beginning with the date following its accounting reference date. So under section or under the Companies Act 2006, the private companies that are not traded companies are not obliged or made compulsory to hold the AGMs. The Companies Act 2006 does not specify what business must be transacted at an AGM, or nor are there any restrictions on the business. So usually the meeting is used for matters which must be dealt with each financial year. So such as the re-election of directors, fixing the remuneration of auditors, or renewal of the auditors for every 6 years, as and consideration of the annual accounts, directors reports and auditors report. The next is sending notice. So notice should be sent to all members so that it is an advance intimation to attend the meeting. Notice will be sent by the secretary within 21 days or you can say the before 21 days of holding the meeting. The next is writing minutes of various meetings and maintaining minute books. So it's nothing but, so we have separate minutes for each meeting, and all these minutes cannot be mixed in only one book. So there should be a separate minute book maintained for each meeting, and each minute should be serially numbered, and it should be placed with a date, or we can say in a chronological order, we can say. So we have to maintain it in a neat wise. So statutory meeting minutes should be kept separately. Annual general meeting, in annual general meeting every year we are going to conduct, so we cannot mix all the minutes of annual general meetings in one thing. So what we have to do is we have to separate every year. The next is supplying a relevant copy of minutes to the shareholders. So the shareholders should know whether the secretary have recorded it properly or not. So it should be supplied to the shareholders to have an acknowledgement. The next, directors, shareholders and debenture holders register maintaining. It is a duty of secretary that he has to maintain the register of directors, shareholders, debenture holders, and if he fails to do that, he will be liable. The next is submitting financial statements of joint stock of the company to the register of joint stock company. So as I said, so financial statements, whatever they have prepared, so that should be sent to the or filed it with the register of joint stock company. So apart from this, there are some other statutory liabilities, so like deducting income tax from the employee's salary and paying a dividend to the shareholders, so appointing an auditor and arranging an audit of books of accounts of the company. So all these things includes, or all these things are there in your statutory liability. Next is contractual liability. So what is contractual liability? As we know, secretary is the employee who is appointed on the contractual basis, right? So as there is a contract between the company and the secretary, there are some contractual liability. Such liability arises from his service contract made with the company, so which are as follows. So abide by all terms and conditions of service contract. So whatever the conditions, terms are agreed at the time of making the contract, so that should be agreed. So follow the order, instruction and act as per the authorization of board of directors. So he cannot do anything without the authority or the direction given by the board of directors. Suppose he does it, so it will be, or he will be liable. So maintaining secrecy of the company affairs. As we know, the term secretary itself says he is a person who is going to maintain the secret. So he is the brain, he is the eye, he is the ear of the company. So even we treat the directors as a brain of the company, eye, ear and hand of the company is your secretary. Okay, so he knows everything. He has a secret, so he cannot reveal it. So you have to maintain it. Perform duties with a due care and skill. So he should apply all his skill and due care while performing the duty. The next is never act beyond authority and not to make any secret profit through the illegal activity. So beyond authority, which means you have given some authority and you do something over that, okay, and you do something which is illegal out of the position what is given to you in the office, and you are going to earn the profit, so that profit we call it as secret profit. And if the secretary does it, so he will be contractually liable. Thank you.